with a desire to not run over. We'll kick things off. Guys, if this is your first time coming to one of Ferran's lovely webinars, welcome. This is part three, but you don't need to have attended part one and part two. If you've missed part one and two and would like to watch them back, let me know because those links are available there on the Roundtable YouTube, or I can just send them over to you. If you do have to dip out today, again, today will be recorded, so I'll post that out for you later. Housekeeping rules, it's a small group, so if you're dying to ask something, I'm sure that we can handle an unmute and a question. Otherwise, just pop it in the chat, which I'll keep an eye on, and kind of pop in at appropriate times. As I just said to Sam, if you can't get the chat to work, WhatsApp me. My phone's right here. I can sort of help out there as well, guys. Otherwise, over to you, Fran.
Great. Thanks, Gareth. For those who don't know me, I have been a sports instructor for over 30 years now, teacher educator and researcher for 15 years. And the last 5 years, I have dedicated myself fully to the CrossFit and the CrossFit space, specifically on supporting coaches and affiliate owners, just trying to spread the mythology as such and make sure that members keep coming back. And one of the challenges we see a lot of times is that at a certain point, intermediate and advanced athletes tend not to make any progress, or they start losing interest, or things like that. And so that's what we're going to investigate today is, okay, how do we coach these intermediate and advanced members in our group classes? So what I'd like you to think about first, so we're going to give you about 30 seconds, and I want you to think about what are the challenges to coaching intermediate and advanced athletes members that you have? Okay, who would like to share one with us? There's no wrong answers here because these are all your own experiences.
Do you want us to just shout out?
Yeah, go on, Patrick.
I would say appropriate scaling.
Okay. In the sense of?
Once they've got an advanced or a semi-advanced skill, they don't want to go backwards. So they treat ring rows like they are, they're beyond them. And I have programmed on purposely ring rows, and people are like, well, can I do pull-ups instead? And I'm like, no, because we're trying to work on ring muscle ups, and you need to be able to pull up to the rings. So it was kind of like almost the justification, but at least half the class didn't want to use rings because they thought it was below them. So I think
that's fair enough. Yeah, I think it's a good example. Anybody else like to add on to what Patrick shared?
I think for us, or probably for most gyms too, a range of athletes in the class, and you've got the guys that maybe are moving quite well, and you look at them, right, they're nailing that. Great, let's spend more time on the new guys, which and it's just finding that balancing act of how much time can we dedicate to everyone in class and not just focusing on the new guys because the older members are maybe moving quite well. But then again, that's where it's trying to find that balance they're still paying for coaching, and they're still just trying to find that balance, which can be difficult.
Yeah, to continue teaching, seeing, and correcting them when they're okay, they're safe enough. Yeah, I get it. Yeah. Anybody else like to share?
RX athletes are always late. Like those intermediate athletes, they think they can roll in at 2 minutes past the hour, and then you do your brief. Right, guys, we're going to be doing keeping pull-ups. Oh, I'm going to get my grips, and then they're back, and we're going to do fronts. Oh, I need one of these. I'm like, guys, just fucking stand there and do the brief. Like, chill out. Maybe that's just me. I'm not seeing any nods from anyone else here. Sam's kind of smiling.
No, I get it. I get it.
Yeah, and I'm definitely laughing because I get it too. They're the ones who are usually they read. I don't know how your setups are, but with us, everything's published beforehand, and so they know what they're doing. So they don't feel like they have to be there, but beforehand. Yeah. Anything else from anybody?
Kind of just when you're going down. Sorry. when you're going down the lines coaching and you're doing, static and dynamic, it just takes a little bit longer and a little bit more of a look for the more advanced athletes to try and pinpoint the tiny little things that it is harder to miss when you have a group of 20 people and again there's newer people needing you and they're glaringly obvious that it's just
Yeah.
taking that time with them to really look. And
Yeah,
also they go,
absolutely,
oh, I've
Rebecca.
always squatted that way. And you're like, yeah,
Yes, I have come across this one as well, Rebecca.
yeah.
Who else would like to share? I heard another voice there. Was it Susan?
I think it's I can jump in if Susan's not, but
Yeah.
I think it's often easier to coach beginner athletes, or it feels like it's often easier to coach beginner athletes because you make a couple of observations and they make a significant leap. So you do see coaches often defaulting to coaching those athletes rather than the intermediates.
Absolutely. Anybody else?
The only thing I'd add is not doing the volume in like the dynamic warm-ups and stuff. They'll put what they want on the bar, so they'll look at their, like for us, it's be on the whiteboard. They'll look at what they should be using for the workout, put it on the bar, do one lift, and like, yeah, I'm ready to go. I'm like, guys, it's like 5 rounds of 5 before we go into the workout. They're like, yeah, but I'm saving myself. And then the problem with that is, as soon as someone says I'm saving myself, everybody else in the room goes, well, they're a decent athlete. Maybe we'll do what they're doing instead of doing what the coach is asking us to. That's maybe a bit.
So lots of different things there. And generally, they tend to fall into two kind of things. There's teaching, seeing, correcting, already good movement. So things that aren't safe. Yeah, they're moving okay. Okay, but how do we help them improve? And the second part, which I think nearly all of you mentioned in one way or another, was managing ego. Yeah. And that's the challenge we face with these intermediate and advanced athletes. It's because they believe they know enough. They might believe they know enough, or whatever the cases are. And so they might not be open to scaling or doing the amount of volume in the warming up, as Patrick said, and things like that. But if we look at teaching, seeing, correcting, now, when people learn movement, they generally, over time, they have this type of shape where on the y-axis, you have the weights and reps. So the intensity, you should think about it over time. And in the beginning, they have to learn the basic movement. How do you get the barbell from the ground to overhead? So efficacy. Yeah, how do you do the basic movement? After that, you start working on efficiency. And it's during this phase that the intensity can increase quite quickly. And finally, you have a plateau phase. And this is usually due to two things, either biomechanical. For example, I know you can't see me. I'm 5 foot tall. I will never do a 500 kilogram deadlift because biomechanically, it is simply not possible for my bones and my muscle structure to do. However, I should be able to do an 80 kilo snatch for the type of body I have. But I'm nowhere near that because I haven't dedicated, or I don't want to dedicate the time and energy into only training for that snatch, for that goal. Yeah, so everybody has a natural plateau in any of the movements and intensity. Now, what often we see is with beginner and intermediate athletes, they have somehow managed to figure out a way to increase, to increase intensity without having really good mechanics. So this is where you see the chicken wing in the bar muscle up, where you see an early arm pull in a weightlifting movement and stuff like that. And so our job as coaches with these athletes is to make sure we try and close this gap. Yeah, try and bring them back on the path, of moving more efficiently in order to help them, reach a higher goal as possible, a higher intensity as possible. Does that make sense to everybody so far? Anyone have any questions about that? Good. So, what do we do? Well, we have to fall back always on our mechanics, consistency, and intensity. Meaning, obviously, we look at the mechanics, we make sure it's being done consistently, we increase the intensity, and we go back and look at the mechanics again. Yeah. And this should be the incomplete circle. What has often happened with quite a few athletes is they've done the mechanics, consistency and intensity, but then all they do is increase the intensity each time, add a bit more weight in the barbell, do a few more reps, and they never go back to fixing the mechanics. That's one side of it. The second side of it is that they don't even go and increase intensity. They just stay there. Nothing else happens. And so it's very hard to get them to even improve in the next phase, if that makes sense. So then our job as coaches is to figure out a way that we can, reduce intensity of the movement and focus on the virtuosity of the mechanics. And I hear all of you saying in the back of your heads, yeah, but they won't do that. They want to do the reps or whatever it is. And I get it. And that's where the ego part comes in. And when I talk about ego is like a sense of self that drives our confidence, our motivation, our competitiveness. It can be an asset and it can be a challenge for our members and ourselves. And useful aspects of ego are like builds confidence, encourage perseverance, it fuels competitiveness, it builds belief that, I can do this. And it allows you to think, oh, let me push for more. And it can also help you anchor your identity as like, oh, I'm someone who trains hard, or I'm a CrossFitter, or whatever it might be. Now, on the other side, ego can also get in our way. And that can make members resistant to feedback or scaling. It can lead to risky behaviors. For example, not warming up properly, not doing the correct volume, or putting too much weight on the barbell, not caring about their form, or completely avoiding trying something new or putting more weight on the barbell. And this in turn can cause a tension in the relationship between the coaches and the members. We get frustrated that they're not doing the thing that we know will get them further, and they get frustrated because we're just annoying them about something they don't think is important. So at play in all these egos is essentially 3 different types of ego. The first one is the big ego, and that's often that they shows up as having a lot of confidence, sometimes too much confidence. And these members, they might crave validation, they might avoid scaling, and they might get frustrated with feedback. They might chase numbers and prioritize getting RX after the name, and often will interpret correction as criticism. But underneath all of that, they have a deep need to feel respected and seen. And for these type of egos, performance is way more important than progress. That score on the whiteboard or whatever it is much more important than finally getting rid of that early arm pull. Then on the other side, we have small egos. And this can be seen as a lack of confidence, and it may show up in using the same weight on the barbell for all movements. I'm sure you have come across members who put 2 5s on the barbell for their deadlifts, for their cleans, and for their snatches. They're not willing to think of anything more. And they choose the same scaling option each time, or they're not going more than 75% effort on the rower. And a lot of these smaller egos, they need to feel capable and safe. They don't want to fail. They want to feel like they have achieved something. And for them, this safety, meaning not failing and being capable, is much more important than progress. So there are 2 of the egos, but there's a third one involved that we can't ignore, and that's our own egos as coaches. And when our egos gets loud, it usually looks like, oh, I need to be right, I want to be liked, I want to avoid a hard conversation. And so it could be that, over queuing or providing too much information to prove that I know my stuff, or backing off on a scaling need because you don't want conflict with someone. And that means in general, these 3 egos are always at play and can get in the way of making progress. Any questions or comments so far? Radio silence. Okay, so let's have a look at our egos first. Now, some ways to think about it is that if we shift our mindsets from being a performer, so being like the star, the center of the stage, to facilitator, meaning that we want to help people make better decisions around us, that can help. If we move from control, meaning you do the thing I want you to do, to curiosity, for example, oh, well, why have you chosen 65 kilos? Or what would make that workable for you today? If we move from pressure, Yeah. So when I feel pressure, I rush, I talk more, then I listen and I try and control outcomes. But if I'm present, then I'm fully there. I have my intention on the person, on the goal, on the next step. So if we find that tension building up as we're talking to a member or about to talk to a member, we can think of these three things. Am I facilitating? Am I going to be curious? Am I going to be present in the conversation? And already this can remove our ego from getting in the way of the conversations. Big egos. So what these are some strategies to deal with big egos. And what we're going to do in a bit, we're going to do a couple of role plays. I know Garrett's going to help out as the first person involved as such. But we're going to talk about a couple of strategies you can use to help with big egos, how you can be curious as such. The first one, obviously, is ask open questions to understand the why. Probe to uncover their deeper motivations. For example, what's your main goal for the next few months? How do you feel your current approach is helping you get there? You can also connect your feedback to an athlete's long-term goals, especially if they plateaued. It's like you've been working on pistols for a while, but staying with the same scaling option hasn't helped you progress. So let's try this new progression to help you get those pistols. We can frame the adjustment as a path, as a performance enhancer. Yeah. Okay, let's focus on getting those feet together and keeping the hollow body for longer to help you get more reps unbroken. Yeah, so the correction is not doing something wrong, it's helping them get a better performance. This is a fun one. Reframe scaling or adjustment as a strategy. Yeah, not to use the word scaling. And it could be something like, okay, our strategy today is to use slightly less weight in the barbell so we can improve our barbell cycling, for example. Yeah. So we're not going to use the word scaling. And we empathize and normalize struggle. Yeah. So, I get it. I understand the chicken wing thing and I understand the frustration that it means that you're not getting more than 2 or 3 reps in a go. Yeah. They have to feel seen in a way that that you understand that it's their performance that's important to them. It's not necessarily the chicken wing, it's the fact they can't get more reps as such. Use visualization to tie the effort to the goal. It's like, imagine being able to link 5 bar muscle ups together with ease. Well, I have this drill that can help you do that. And then highlight plateaus as opportunities to pivot. It's like, you know what, you've been working on squat snatches for a long time, but I noticed that we haven't been able to increase the weight. Let's focus on snatch balances for the coming trainings to help you unlock heavier lifts. Yeah, so we use plateaus so that no improvement in performance to help us try something else, to help them improve the mechanics to be able to improve the intensity. And finally, but not finally, appeal to their competitive spirit constructively. Meaning, okay, if you refine your clean technique now, you're going to hit bigger weights and you're always going to beat Tom on the whiteboard, for example. Or you're going to be able to always RX, or you're going to beat such and such in the open. Yeah. But we're back to wrapping it up in a say of this is our strategy to hit that performance. Okay. These are just ideas. And what we're going to do, so I know Garrett is already the first volunteer, but I need a second volunteer to be Garrett's athlete or member. And all we're going to do, we're going to do a small role play where Garrett is going to scan the coach QR code, the rest, and who would like to be his member. It's only short. You've all lived through this. Who can help Gareth out here? Or do I have to be a teacher and pick on somebody? Patrick, would you be willing? All you have to, so Gareth, if you can just scan the QR code for the coach, Patrick, if you can scan the QR code for the member, everybody else who's watching, you can scan either one, or we're just going to wait. Guys, I'm going to give you 2 minutes just to read through what it is to get an idea.
I am struggling to scan the QR code for Ryan. Sorry, give me 2 seconds.
That's okay. Joys of technology.
Yeah. I'm in.
You're in? Great. So everybody else, feel free to scan one of them if you want to, or even both of them to get an idea. So what I've done is I've set up a scenario where the coach has certain information and the member has certain information. And they have to somehow figure out how to come to a solution. And hopefully, I'm going to leave this up here, is that Gareth can use some of the strategies we just talked about to help Patrick. And what the rest of us are going to do is that we're going to listen to this. And at the end, we're going to give Garrett some tops and tips, tops, things that went well, and tips that maybe he could try differently next time. Are you ready, Patrick?
I'll do my best.
Do your best. I think you can. You probably have a member in your mind at the moment of who this might be. Yeah. Gareth, are you ready?
I'm good to go. Patrick, do you want to pick a heavy lift for today, mate? What are you fancying?
I'm going to go for a deadlift.
Okay, cool. And what low deadlift do you want to do and what reps, mate?
I want to get to my 1 rep max because I saw that James the other day had beat me on that, so I want to get past it.
Okay, sweet. But today's programming is 5x5 deadlifts. How's that sound for him?
I don't mind doing that, but can I do the 1 rep max at the end?
Okay, yeah. Talk to me about why you want to do that 1 rep max. Why is that important today, mate?
So me and James have got this thing where we kind of push each other all the time, and he managed to beat my 1 rep max by a kilo. So I want to just like add a little bit onto the end. And I've done it before, but not in the gym. So I want to just get it on, be on the whiteboard so everybody can see it.
That sounds cool, mate. So I get why that's important. I get you wanting to beat that. Let's think about what's the like long-term training progress though, if we just start maxing out every day. What do you think would happen?
Uh, well, I think if I max that all the time, I might just probably see better results when it comes to being stronger.
Okay, cool. That's a fair point, mate. So you think that if we max out every day, we'll get better. Okay, cool. Let's flip it. Let's pretend this is like, I don't know, running, right? Like you've told me before that you love running. If you wanted to get better at running, would we run a marathon every day, do you think?
No.
No. Okay, cool. Can you see how we could maybe use that same thought process with running a marathon, getting better at running, and the heavy deadlifts?
Yeah. I get what you're saying.
So maybe if today, just for today, just hear me out, maybe we did the 5x5 deadlifts today so that in 2 weeks' time when we do our 1 rep max, we're not beating James by 1 kilo, but we're beating him like 10 kilo. And then he's not got a
Yeah.
chance to stand. Like, if you beat him by 1 kilo today, I bet you tomorrow he'll come in and beat you by half a kilo. Why don't we put a bit of work in, do the 5x5 today, and set such an outstanding 1 rep max that James hasn't got a hope in hell of ever matching it again?
Okay. Yeah, I like that.
What do you think, mate?
Yeah, that's good. I'm on the train. Let's go.
You're on the train. Love it, mate.
Yeah.
Dude, I appreciate you chatting about this though, because sometimes it does take a little bit of time to go through this stuff, all right?
Yeah, definitely.
That's right, guys. Well done, Patrick. Gareth.
I apologize. My business partner walked in halfway through then because he's flying out to Sweden for High Rocks Worlds and he was like, I'm off. I'm like, yeah, go away. I'm concentrating
Yeah.
on Patrick. Leave me alone. Sorry
It's
about
all
that.
right. My son was put in the background over there as well, pointing to me, going, and I'm like, chap.
This is real life, guys. So there
I
we
know.
go. Yeah, nice. Would anybody like to share some tops and tips to Gareth? Actually, Patrick, I'm going to ask you first because you experienced it yourself.
Yeah.
What a top being what should Gareth do again, and a tip being what could he try differently?
Um, I suppose from hearing it, I think the competitive part of it might have been a quicker option. Only purely because when I said, "Oh, me and James have got this thing going on," if you said, "Well, if you want to beat James, do these 5x5, and in 2 weeks' time, you'll that part of it." I know that that's retrospectively thinking about or in hindsight, it's
Yeah.
sometimes because, like we were saying earlier, how much time do you spend trying to convince someone to do something? And if it took me 2 minutes to convince someone that they shouldn't be doing a 1 rep max, I feel like I've spent too long on it. But I also don't want to go programming to programming, just do them told you, because then they tend to get pretty antsy pretty quick.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Like, as I was waffling then, I'm like, man, like if I was coaching the 5 p.m. tonight and I've spent 5 minutes here trying to get Pat to do a 5x5, totally agree with that, mate. Too slow, right? Like, it needs to be snappier, it needs to be faster.
But Patrick, what did he do well? What should he do again the next time?
He took it into consideration. He was really once we got it, it was super direct. That's what we're going to do. Agreed that I was on the train. Let's go. And it was, once we got there, it was really direct, and I didn't really have a way out of it either. So
well, I think and
I thought that was pretty good. I was like, oh, don't really have anything else to say on this. I now have to do exactly what you've asked me to do. So I quite like that. It's good.
Okay. Is there anybody who would like to share a top or a tip? I think they're all worried about what's going to happen next. Anybody like to share anything?
I would say that I sometimes say that we're doing 5x5. If that had been me, I'd have said we're doing 5x5 today. The 1 rep max is in 2 weeks. As a quick, maybe it's not programmed in, but almost like as in a white lie.
Yeah, it's like that approach. It's like the approach of teaching to avoid mistakes. As such, that there might be people who will not do 5x5 and want to try and one rep max today. So you could already handle that in your briefing. I like that, Patrick.
And then there's a reasoning why they're doing the 5x5, not just because it's on the board, but we're building towards that. So next week will be a 3x3, and then you'll have a 4x2, and then we're looking for the 1 rep max in a week's time. And they're like, oh yeah, that's fine, absolutely, as long as we're going to get to do it, almost feed in it a little bit.
Yeah, I like that. Anybody else have anything they'd like to share? Okay. We have 3 more scenarios in total to do. Yeah. So let's hope we can get some more volunteers. Who would like to volunteer for the next one as coach or member?
I'll do member.
Nobody? Giles will do member. Great. Who's going to coach Giles? Remember, there's nothing
I'm uncoachable.
You are coachable, are you?
Uncoachable. That's what they always tell me.
Rebecca, can I pick on you? Would that be okay?
No, sorry.
That's okay. Samuel? Oh, I know you're in your car. Susan, can I pick on you?
Sorry, I've got my son's just come back from his GCSE, so I am listening, but I'm slightly sidetracked. I apologize.
That's okay. What we're going to do then is, Giles, I'm going to keep you there. Because it's not a bigger group, what I think we're going to do is I'm going to skip over the second scenario for the big ego, and we're going to move on to the smaller egos and the techniques we can use for those. Yeah, because then maybe, Giles, somebody might be willing to coach you along the way on your smaller ego. So when we come to this navigating smaller ego, we're back to asking open questions to understand their deeper motivations. So it's the same thing as with the bigger ego, except often these understanding their why might be a bit vaguer. Oh, I want to be fitter. I want to be healthier. It could be, I want to be able to pick up my grandkids as such. But if you know what their deeper motivation is, that can help you inform how you go and handle them. Another thing is, because often the smaller ego does not want to fail, they want to feel capable, you have to set small, achievable targets. Yeah. So, for example, instead of putting, I believe you can do, a deadlift of 50 kilos. You're currently at 40 kilos, but let's test 42.5 kilos. Let's see how that feels. Yeah. Making sure that it's achievable. And then you're going to celebrate progress and not perfection. Yeah. And so, yeah, maybe there's still a little bit of an early arm pull, but you can say, oh, great work on the jump. Yeah. And I can see you're working hard on the arm pull. Yeah. If we celebrate that effort and the progress, yeah, that makes it easier for them to recognize things don't have to be perfect. We are allowed to fail in CrossFit as such. We can also address negative self talk. When people say, oh, I can't do a pull up, it's like simply, oh, you can't do a pull up yet. Simple words, simple phrasings can help them think in a different mindset. Yeah. We can reinforce strengths first. Oh, do you know what? You've a really good hollow and arch position. Okay. Let's work on that hip pop for our kipping pull-ups, whatever it might be. You want to create low risk challenge opportunities. So, for example, oh, in this workout today, oh, you want to let's increase the weight on the barbell for the first round. Yeah. And after the first round, if it doesn't feel okay, I'll come over to you and we can take it off again. So you're giving them the chance to test something out, try something out without it being the end of the world or seen as failure if it doesn't work. Pairing them with the right training partner, can be seriously underestimated. Somebody who's gone through the journey, somebody who knows the struggle of trying to get that first pull up, or who were also sat with 2 5s on their barbell for whatever movements for 1 or 2 years. If you partner them with people who've broken through that mindset, that will help them even more. And finally, also share your own struggles. Okay, maybe you didn't struggle with getting a pull up, but you can say, oh, do you know what? I struggled with another movement and I understand how frustrating it is. I tried everything I could to get the thing and it just wasn't working until I fill in the blanks. Yeah? And that they're all the type of things that we can help somebody with a smaller ego build confidence and belief in themselves being capable to do the thing that they need to do. Because one of the challenges we have with a small ego is that if they always sit underneath that threshold of intensity, that threshold training, they will never get the full adaptations that they could get. And threshold training, by definition, is at that point of failure. Now, we increase the intensity a bit until the mechanics start failing. We fix mechanics, make sure it's consistent. We increase the intensity again till the mechanics start failing. And so we're always on this edge of nearly failing. But for athletes, members with small egos, they don't like being there. They don't want to fail. They want to feel capable. And so we have to find ways to make them feel confident themselves to be sitting in that threshold, if that makes sense. So, Giles, you are going to be our member for this one. Is there anybody willing to try this out with Giles? Or Giles, would you be willing to coach Gareth, maybe? Would you be up for that?
Sure.
Yeah. Oh, thanks, Giles. Giles, you're going to scan coach. Gareth, you're going to scan member. Give you a couple of minutes. Everybody else, you can scan either one if you want to.
Okay.
Have you scanned it, Giles and Gareth? Yeah.
I'm struggling. Sorry.
That's okay.
It's like it teases me. It pops up and then it disappears. I'm in.
Yeah, you're in? Great. Okay. So for everybody else, yeah, these are some of the strategies we can use to support people with smaller egos to help them try and get to that threshold training so that they make even more adaptations. Have you read it, Gareth?
Good to go.
Good to go. Giles, are you good to go?
Unmute. Right. Perfect. So I don't have okay, here we go. I mean, there's some trying to do. Hey, Big G. How you doing? So
I'm good,
today we've
man.
got, good. So we're building to a heavy deadlift this session. What are you thinking? What are you targeting now?
Oh man, I'm probably gonna take it easy. I'm not gonna go too heavy. I'm probably gonna stay sort of below what I've done before.
Okay,
I
cool.
think
And
we're
remind me,
overdo
what were you hitting before?
it. Like 90 kilos is my max.
Yeah, nice,
So yeah,
strong. And that was for 1 RM, or was that for reps?
that was for a 1 RM. Yeah, so I'm probably thinking I'll go like 80 today just to play safe.
Okay, cool, perfect. I reckon that because we're working through a bunch of sets, I think let's start you off as that as a target, and then let's see how you feel, and maybe we nudge that up. We'll get some of the small plates out and see how you go.
Okay. Do you think I'll be all right, like hitting 5 at that kind of load?
Wow, we jumped pretty hard from 90 for one to to 5. Um, yeah, for sure. I think that if we take it nice and slow and we focus on your form and make sure your form is correct, what we don't want to do is move you too fast and let form go. But I think that I've seen you. I think I saw you lift that 90. You were strong. There was definitely more in the tank. So I think if we take it easy, I think we can get there.
Okay, man. I feel confident with your eyes on me. I think we can push this. Thanks, dude.
Yeah, perfect. I reckon. Why don't you go with Patrick, because I think he's got some great form, and I think he's round about lifting the same sort of size as you, and so you can just bounce back between. And if you're both feeling good, then we can add weight to both of you guys.
Sweet. Me and Patrick hate James, so we want to deadlift more than him.
Yeah, for sure. Let's get that 1 RM in the bag in 4 weeks' time, following the program.
A bit of a jazz, Gareth. Well done, guys. So, Gareth, as the member there, what are your tops and tips?
Giles instilled confidence in me, in my own ability.
Mhm.
I really liked his use of, I've seen your form, I've seen you move that bar, I've got confidence in you. At the end of the day, we're all in the business where we're the experts, and I think we need to tell our members what we know and that we back what they're doing. So I really like the way that Giles
Mhm.
laid that in there for me.
Nice. And a tip?
I could have gone there. I think I could have got there faster. I think that I could bring that one out first. Then then the rest of the conversation could have been easier. I think I went straight into like nudging you up, but thinking back, actually going into there, you're a good lifter. Would have.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, all good.
No, but this is why, and I know role plays feel awkward as such. Thank you, Giles and Gareth, by the way, again. I know role plays feel awkward to start with, but they're a great way to allow yourself and your team to practice these conversations, to figure out what works for me as a coach, what conversations can we have? Because you're right, we don't have 5 minutes per member to have these discussions. And these role plays are just like using a PVC pipe when we're learning movement. It gives us a safe environment to try things out, to experiment, and to reflect. Like Giles said, oh, if I'd done that thing first, then the rest might have been easier as such. And to be honest, it's also a bit of fun to get the whole team to do this together and have a bit of a giggle at how difficult some of our members can be um, as such. Does anyone have any questions at the moment?
No questions, but
No?
if I could just jump in and double down on Fran's point there, role plays are
Mhm.
vital in your gyms. All right. I remember the
Mhm.
first time I went over to France years and years ago, and Shafi got me to do role plays for sales. And I was like, I hate this. And I'm internally like, this feels so awkward. We do it pretty much every day at Second City. It is vital in every
Mhm.
aspect, sales right the way through to coach of the floor. So yeah, just to double down on Fran's point there of how important role playing is.
Yeah, and to be honest, you can think about it. You probably already do it on the teaching correcting side of things. Yeah, when you look at movement, you're looking at the dynamic and static falls, and you're going down the line and things like that. You probably practice that type of role play with your coaches already, but you need to also practice how to connect with your members, how to manage their egos, and how to manage your own ego as a coach as well, without having without it being always on the floor with real members. So, I'm going to leave that up for a second so people rewatching this can scan this and use these scenarios with their coaches. What I'd like to do is just the call to action of, coach your intermediate advanced athletes just as much as your beginners. Now, I can appreciate that what we did today takes time in a class, but that's where it's about building up a relationship over time. That if I know Giles isn't confident in his deadlifts, I can already address that up front in my briefing. Yeah. Guys, today I'm going to be looking at everybody's technique and making sure that the weight you're going to be doing, you're going to succeed at. Things like that. Yeah. So you can already plan these things up front. And you can also drip feed across an entire team for a longer period of time to help change mindsets, to help people understand what they're doing. Another thing that a team can do with intermediate and advanced athletes is give them a focus point of what they're working on, and then get them to communicate that with the coaches. Often when I'm coaching members I haven't seen in a while, I go, okay, Gareth, what have you been working on? What is your focus for today? And Gareth could say, yeah, I'm really trying to work on getting my turnover faster, whatever it might be. I'm like, aha, great. That's what I'm going to give him feedback on. So because I completely get it, Rebecca, it's really hard to go down the line and find the thing that you need to find. But if as a team, someone has already identified the thing that they should be working on, then the team can support that member in working on it. Does that make sense to everybody? Yeah. Completely appreciate that if you have a group of 20, you have 3 minutes per person, less than. Yeah. And it's very hard to do all of these things. But as I said, give yourselves time to practice it, get your entire team involved if possible, and remember that changing behavior doesn't happen overnight. And just because you told a member to do the thing, they won't always do the thing. Because if we did that, they probably wouldn't need us as coaches, because we just have to tell them once and then they go off and do it. But our role is to help them change the behaviors that are standing in their way. Okay. If anyone's interested, I have a free coaching course, 5-day course. It's just 5 emails as such. In there, there's also worksheets that can be used with your team. Scan it. You do end up on my mailing list, but you can unsubscribe to my mailing list and I won't be insulted at all. But hopefully these resources will help you and your team to coach intermediate and advanced athletes a bit more. There we go. Anyone have any questions, comments? Cases that they are confronted with, my pleasure. Cases that they're confronted with that they'd love some input from the group here.
I'd like to know how you guys deal with consistent poor movers. Those that are, you do spend time with them on a bar, let's say for instance, because a bar is normally where I have an issue with them. And you move them, you do the correcting with the hands, and you go, okay, let's try that once. And they do it once, and you go, brilliant. Keep hold of that. I want you to repeat that. And then you turn your back, and they immediately go back to what they were doing before. Because I don't want to feel like I'm hitting the anvil with them, but I also don't want to be looking like I'm not coaching them and correcting them. So I just wondered if anybody else has any kind of skill set on how to promote that without you strangling them.
Would anybody like to share approaches that they use? Open up to the floor.
So I've been known to video those particularly bad movers before, and then if I've tried like a verbal, dynamic, tactile cue, visual cue, and it's still not working, I'll grab my phone. I'll be like, right, hit me 2 reps. Cool. Watch this now. Watch me at the same time as them doing the video, and I found that sometimes that can just unlock that. Oh, I'm not moving perfectly. I didn't realize that at all. Other skills that I've sort of deployed is I'll just reduce the movement right down and give them one thing to focus on. So if we've got power cleans, so right, we're going to go from the high hang and we're just going to focus on that catch position. We've got a handful of them and they know the exact type of person. And you see them booked on, you're like, oh, this is going to be a hard hour. They're going to suck up so much of my time. Sometimes I'll preempt it like straight in. Like if I know I've got that bad mover coming into the class, I'll be like, Patrick, power cleans today. Elbows is the only focus. That's the only thing I want us to talk about today. and I'll try and take that small win of getting one movement right. There's just a couple of things that I would do if I was on the floor here.
Yeah. Nice, Gareth. Anybody else have anything to add? I'm going to add a couple of things in, and I have to double down on the videoing. Often people have a lack of proprioception, understanding where their body is in space. They think they're squatting deep enough, even though they're like this far above parallel as such. So they often don't know where their body's in space and what's happening to it. And videoing them and letting them analyze it themselves can be a huge turning point in their own learning. The second thing is often when we've corrected movement, it feels wrong to them afterwards because they have developed bad mechanics and the bad mechanics feels normal and good. And so you have to normalize the fact that it feels wrong. So asking afterwards, how did that feel? Oh, it felt wrong, felt different, or it felt bad. It's like, okay, but it looked good. You're doing the thing I need you to do. So it's okay that it feels wrong at the moment, if that makes sense. When we're tired, we always will go back to what our body naturally wants to do, which is certainly with bad mechanics, is back to the bad mechanics. And so you have to find ways, like Gareth was saying, that you encourage them just to work on that one thing that they need to work on. But Patrick, I feel your pain. Yeah. Especially if people are coming once a week. Yeah, it's hard to get that drip feeding, getting them moving better each time. But that's where we go back to celebrate every single win.
I have to ask from a coach's perspective, and I'm hoping everybody's going to nod here. Do you sometimes feel like you fail people because you can't get them to move properly? Because I actually kind of feel that's sometimes where I'm at. I feel like I haven't taught them properly from the first moment, where they were this kind of like, little doughy person that, moldable, and I accidentally carved them out of wood, and they just are now this immovable thing that I kind of go, oh, what did I do wrong to begin with?
Yeah.
So I don't know whether that's me thinking way too much about it, but I'm trying to find ways around that.
I don't think it's just you, Patrick, but you have to remember we've all had journeys as coaches where we weren't necessarily as relentless as we should have been, or we wanted to avoid the hard conversations and things like that. And yeah, there are consequences to them. But by understanding those consequences, seeing the impact, then hopefully we can help the next generation of coaches not make the same mistakes that we did. Yeah, or be more efficient, more effective. And simply making sure, even changing the culture that, mechanics is key. That's our focus. Secondary is hitting the intended stimulus. And the third part is hitting RX or whatever numbers on the board. Yeah? Even those small things drip fed over time can help. But you're not, I certainly, from my point of view, Patrick, you're not alone feeling that. Anybody else have any other questions or anything they'd like to ask? No? Then thanks, guys. Thanks for your time today. Much appreciated. Feel free to reach out and contact me if you have any questions about coach and team or leadership development. I don't bite. And if I don't think we're a match, it's not a sales pitch or anything like that. It is just a genuine desire to help other coaches and affiliate owners in the space, because I really believe in the CrossFit methodology. And the more of us who can deliver it at a high standard, the better it is for everybody. So thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, guys. There we go. All done.
All good.
Yeah. Nice, Gareth. Hopefully I'll know in a bit of time.
Yeah, let me know. Keep me in the loop.
Oh, I will do. It's just, yeah, you know yourself. It's just like, and in the meantime, hearing horror stories of other people, getting 3 out of 14 or 2 out of 14, and you're like, ah.
Yeah, I think the wait was really hard. Like I
Yeah.
totally empathize with you there. The wait in the checking of emails every day, the self-doubt that creeps in as well when you've not heard, and you're like, well, man, if it's taken this long, I must have been really bad. Or actually, if it's taken
Yeah.
this long, it must have been really good.
It must be really good. It's like, what's going on? Yeah.
But regardless of, I mean, I said this, I said this before, I got the badge. The badge is lovely to have. It's all about the journey. The journey makes you a better
Yeah.
coach. And you're a fantastic coach and you know your stuff.
Absolutely. And you know what? Because members were asking me yesterday. Yeah, no, yesterday. I was coaching yesterday. Members were asking me, "Oh, do you have your results yet?" And I was like, "No, I have another, probably another couple of weeks." They're like, "Oh, it doesn't matter what it is." I'm like, "Thank
Yeah.
you, thank you."
Yeah.
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 So we'll get there. But yeah,
But no, keep me in the loop. That was fab. Thank
yeah,
you. Apologies for
my pleasure.
the role. Like, come on, guys, it's okay.
Well,
Don't be scared.
we had that discussion that this was going to be a risk. I knew it was
Yeah.
going to be a tough one. And when you're in
Yeah.
such a big group, or such a small group, then you run the risk of. So, but yeah, they did well. So,
They did well. It was good.
and thanks, Gareth, for being willing to be the
Oh,
victim.
anytime.
As
As I
such.
say, like we role play every day, so it's
Yeah,
I've almost got like the like role play persona hat that I put on, so it's absolutely fine. It's
yeah.
no stress at all.
And you know what? As a teacher and teacher educator, role play was one of the basic tools we used.
Yeah,
Yeah, to have those conversations. So, because you don't want to practice on real teenagers.
yeah.
They're not always good. So, anyway, have a great day, Gareth. Thanks for that. Give my love to Adele.
Will do. Speak soon.
Yeah. Right. Bye.
Bye.